Everybody can use a good side taste.
I gotta admit that things mean different symbols have different meanings to different people.
No doubt. I'm
So-
torn on the rebel flag. I get why people are offended, but at the same time, like, I met some rednecks that sport that, and they weren't racist.
They aren't racist, but I think they just don't understand. I think those people
They
just
don't
don't
really
understand
what it
history.
is.
They say
Like, they know what it is, but
right. So you talk about the Confederate flag. I do know that some people just say, "Oh, it's just history. It's just history. We're not racist." Yeah, but you don't understand your history. First of all, if you want to be patriotic, I don't understand how someone can say they're patriotic and want to fly a flag for a country that rebelled against the United States. So first, that was another country. That was a foreign country that fought the United States. Where's your patriotism? Number one. And number two is that you just don't know your history. The Confederate flag, the Confederate States of America's Constitution was built, and it even if you read it, it says in there, we want slavery, boy. We want it. We're not getting rid of it in their Constitution. So I just don't. So those people who just say, "Oh, it's not about," they just don't know the history.
you know, it's fascinating, slavery, to me, because a lot of people, when they think about slavery or hear the word slavery, it's probably because we're in America or
Well, slavery happened so many other places.
exactly. And it wasn't even just
But
in the
America's
modern era.
America's one
Like,
of the last
back
to
in the
attend it.
Roman Empire time,
Right? Yeah.
they had slaves that were of white slaves,
Yeah, they
black
had all
slaves.
kinds,
Yeah,
right.
it doesn't. And
Yeah.
their slavery wasn't like our slavery in more modern times, because in their time, you could get out. Like,
Right.
it wasn't defined by your skin color, so you weren't immediately looked at like in this country where it was like only black people are slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So you look and
So it's easier to identify them, right?
yeah. So I think it's a twisted game, man, and we're still kind of locked in it. That they managed to pit black against white in this country, and it's managed to keep us divided.
Yeah, of course.
And if we could get over that, so many awesome things would happen. But I think, like, black people in this country, for one, I can tell you, having been in the every conceivable situation on every spectrum with black and white people, from the poorest to the most well-to-do.
Right.
And it isn't a race thing. It's an economic thing
It is. Yeah, it's very true.
that has now, like, I think everybody who's educated realizes that, but, like, the educated white folks play on the racism
Yeah.
to manipulate things to their end.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Like,
I
they
agree with that.
they you know, they're
I
not
agree with
at their heart, they're not really racist.
No,
They're,
but they use it to their advantage.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they'll feed into the whole, like, oh, they're less evolved or something. Like, they'll play any whatever the actual right-wing nuts really do believe.
Right. Right.
But that's just because they're uneducated. They're like poor white people, they're just as uneducated as the poor black people. And I'm telling you, going into poor black neighborhoods, which I've spent tons of time in the trap, like filming music videos for gang members and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you get, like, when you get that raw, unfiltered opinion from a poor black person's perspective, you are getting the equal opposite of that poor white person's perspective.
Right. Exactly.
And it is an us versus them, and it's wrong. Like, I get, like, the whole, oh, your people have been oppressing my people, this and that, for whatever. Okay, yeah. Like, I can't deny this, but what can I do about it?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked that question. I'm like, what can I personally, you're telling me this, I'm saying, okay, I agree. What can I do about it? Like, is there anything I personally can do to make these things better for you?
Mm-hmm.
I never really got any answers other than, like, some people were like, well, you're doing it. You're like, occasionally. Just the fact that you're here.
Right. Yeah.
And
mm-hmm.
that you can tell other people about this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not necessarily going to be effective. I told a lot, like, if you're not willing to educate yourself and have conversations with these people yourself,
That's right.
then I'm not going to be able to do anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like even in South Africa, I don't know if you've heard about like they're taking land from white farmers and then giving it to native. It's hard to say native because some of those white people were born there now. There's like 3 or 4 generations that they were born there now. And they're taking their farmland.
I know several white South Africans. They're born there.
Isn't Elon Musk South African?
I have no idea.
I think he is. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure he's from South Africa. Anyway, that's a whole interesting thing too. It boils down to this because like they take the land from the white farmers, give it to the black farmers, but they're giving it to these people who are like
don't know what to do with it.
No, they are farmers, but they're poor and they have small farms. So they take these like mega huge farms that these white people were running, that it's been in their family for generations, and they just give it to this other dude. Shit starts to fall apart. They don't know what to do. They ask the government for help. The government's like, "We gave you the land. I don't know what else to tell you." and then the white people there are using that as an example of going, "You see, they're inferior." Like, it's fucked, bro. The whole thing is fucked because it's like, no. You got it all wrong. They're not inferior. He just doesn't know what the fuck to do. It's all about education.
Yeah.
In the end, if you ask me. And it's all around because Trump would not be president if those poor white folks were educated.
No, I think if all people just realize, like you say, talk to one another, and like you'd be surprised to realize that they're not that different from you. You kind of all want the same thing and not that different. But I think that's exactly how Donald Trump was elected. I mean, it was those rural Americans that came out in droves. But
and then the black folks didn't vote because they didn't have anyone representing.
I was just about to say that Hillary Clinton did herself no favors, and the Democratic Party did themselves no favors because they did not energize their quote unquote base.
I still think
to get out there and vote. Yeah, I think a lot of people were alienated because of the Bernie Sanders situation, but Hillary Clinton just could not mobilize the Democratic base like Donald Trump did. Plain and simple.
Young lady, please stay out of the race. Okay? The one coming up, don't run. Please. We're done. No more Clintons.
Yeah, she had her own issues. She just couldn't mobilize the Democrats to get out there and vote.
You watching Terry Productions.